So after I'd retired from the graffiti game and I had my leaving due and I got my gold clock and my handshake from Part2, I decided to stow myself away in the shed at the bottom of my garden and try and do something that I can keep or that other people can keep. So whenever I used to sketch, I never used to colour them in. They were always just black and white outlines, and I'd usually decide what colour I was going to use when I got to the wall. So one of the first things that I did was to take my sketches and finish them, transferring these onto canvas and then making small full colour graffiti pieces using Posca pens, because this was back in the day before Molotow paint markers. I then played around with some other sketches on things like skateboards, and yeah, I thought they looked pretty good. I was really pleased with them. I then went back to the spray cans, still using canvas. I started making these kind of abstract graffiti pieces. So I was lucky enough to have built a wall at the bottom of my garden, and I put some canvases on them and painted a full STA piece. Unfortunately, the A has gone missing, so we've only got the S and the T. But yeah, so then when I removed them, I ended up with these kind of slightly weird abstract pieces. I then painted a few more of them, which were just single letters on canvas. I think I only ever did one full-sized piece, which was this one. So I did that for a little while. I put them into a couple of shops, had a little bit of an interest, so yeah, it was all good. But I wanted to do something with this ninja character that I had created. This is about the second or third time that I drew this character out. This was the first time that I was happy with him, and I kind of went on to do a couple of other different versions of him doing various different things and carrying various different weapons, ripping the hearts out of teddy bears, and kind of incorporating him into my graph pieces. So I'd sketched him quite a lot, but like I said in the last video, I hadn't really successfully painted him on a wall. Now, having said that, I found this picture, and this is probably the closest that I've got to being happy. But like I say, I do intend at some point to get out there and paint a big ninja on the wall, so watch this space for that. I really got into watching sort of like documentary style graffiti DVDs, videos like Infamy, The Art of Getting Over, Bombing. There was loads of them. The one that stood out for me though is this, Rock Fresh, a film by Danny Lee. If you haven't seen this, try and get hold of it. It is brilliant. It was one of the first DVDs that I watched where they interviewed artists. Nobody was kind of hidden away behind sort of balaclavas, and yeah, it was about kind of legal graffiti, I suppose, if you like. One of the things that they talked about in this DVD was how to make hats, and that really interested me, and I really got the bug. So went onto eBay, ordered myself 24 trucker style hats, and following the instructions from these guys, I made a couple of hats. So I put the ninjas on them first, and then I went back to my graffiti pieces and made some graffiti hats. But I really loved this ninja character and I wanted to do a little bit more with him, so I started cutting stencils and then ended up putting him onto clocks, onto skateboards. I painted a couple of canvases with him, and yeah, he was just a really cool little character. I got hold of a money and I made a little kind of miniature version of my little ninja star. Loved this guy. But again, I mean, I like to kind of challenge myself, so I don't like to keep doing the same thing over and over again. So I decided to have a go at doing portraits. As I've shown you earlier on, when I was a kid, I did quite a lot of kind of pencil portraits. Thought I was all right at it, so I thought I'd have a go at doing one with spray paint. So the first portrait that I ever did was this one. So I don't know whether you recognise that, but that's Mr. Kiefer Sutherland from one of my favourite films, The Lost Boys. Yeah, was really happy with that. Painted it all kind of freehand, quite a small canvas. So from that point on, I was really just focused on painting portraits. Initially, the portraits were a little bit rough around the edges, But eventually I managed to get the hang of it. I think this was the first one that I did that I really liked, and from then on they got a little bit easier. So I started in the usual way by painting famous music legends, pop icons, film stars, just to try and get my name out there and try and get myself noticed. And it worked. I managed to sell quite a few of my paintings, particularly the musician ones. So yeah, it was good. And so I carried on like this for a little while, painting these kind of celebrity, musician-y type portraits. I got commissioned to do quite a few of them, but I hadn't painted anything sort of large scale for a little while, and I was starting to get a little bit, you know, sentimental about the streets, sentimental about painting outside on a bigger scale. But I wasn't quite ready to take my portraits out there. So I painted Jimmy here on the wall at the bottom of my garden. I was quite happy with the results that I was getting on a smaller scale, but I wasn't sure how it was going to be when I painted them bigger, so I had a little bit of a practice. I think it was March 2010 that I got invited to paint at a graffiti jam in Paynton at a place called the Lighthouse, and I managed to persuade Gon, who had also gone into retirement, to come out of retirement, and together we painted this. Later on that summer, the Vibraphonic Festival was happening at the Phoenix in Exeter, and Speech to Bell was the headline act, so I painted a portrait of Speech, and I think that this was the first time that I painted with the legend that is Seymour G. Now, I'd known of the man and I'd run into the man a couple of times over the years, but like I say, I think this was the first time that we were on a wall together. It was a little while after this that tragically one of Seymour's friends lost his life, and he asked me if I would paint a portrait of this guy Nelson at a kind of tribute memorial wall that him and some of the guys had planned. So of course I said, yeah, of course, no problem at all. When do you need me? And together with Form, we painted this wall. And that was kind of really, I don't mean to get too, you know, that was the start of a beautiful friendship. Some of the people who I'd painted with in the past, bless them, they were very patient, but they finished their pieces and were kind of done in about an hour, whereas I wanted to spend, you know, 4, 5, 6 hours putting in the work. So I think one of the reasons that me and Seymour got on really well was we were both prepared to put in whatever amount of time that it took. Thank you. Okay, I'm doing a video. I can't come there. That would be weird if I just come running. No, I'm not coming there. No, you can whistle. No, my name's not Reggie, for a start. It's Jeff Paints. Anyway, so if it hadn't been for Mr. Seymour, I could still be painting black and white pictures now, because he was the first person to convince me that I should have a go at doing some colour. So we did this wall together, and this was the first time that I'd done a proper colour portrait. So yeah, Seymour G, the man, the myth, the legend. But whoa, we gotta stop, because we're getting ahead of ourselves here. I mean, there was a dog in that last picture, and I've not even told you about how I started painting dogs yet. We'll get there in a bit, but hang on. We've got to go back, way back, well, 2011/12, when I had a really good time. Yeah, what did we do first? Well, went to Brighton and painted with my old matey Suggsy. Me and Gon went to visit him, and we painted at Blackrock. I did this Marilyn Monroe piece. Then we went to Tamworth to paint at the Freak Show alongside loads of famous artists. That was really cool. I came back to Exeter, did this portrait of John Locke. Sadly though, that year was the year of the Japanese tsunami, and a group of artists got together to do a charity fundraising auction, and I wanted to take part in it, so I painted this portrait of just a random Japanese lady that I found on the internet, and It sold at the auction for £950, which just blew my mind. For the first time, I'd created something which had value. Just to put it into perspective, I would sell my paintings usually for £75. So £950 was just amazing. And so for a little while at least, I was totally focused on just painting these kind of Japanese model-y type ladies, and it went fairly well. Yeah, I managed to sell a couple of my paintings, and one of them got shortlisted for the Cork Street Open Art Exhibition. So I got to go to London, got to go and stay in a posh hotel, went up for the open evening. There were loads of like posh people and celebrities and stuff. It was totally out of my depth. But yeah, it was good, it was fun, and I sold the painting that I had in the exhibition, so boom. Then I got asked to paint a portrait of Jack Chat, that rap tactician, for his video This Land Is Your Land. I'll put a link in the description. And then I organised Exeter's first graffiti jam extravaganza thing. We painted X bridges, which is basically 4 sets of large walls. We had about 30 artists there, and this is what we did on the day. Yeah, had a really good summer portrait painting. And then I did what can only be described as, apart from getting married to my beautiful wife, the most amazing thing that I have ever done. I got to paint the captain of a ship on the ship that he was a captain of. So I painted on the Duke of Lancaster, which is a ship which is dry docked up in North Wales. It was an old passenger ferry from back in the day, and Captain Jack Irwin was the ship's captain. And yeah, what an honour. This is a little video that I made from footage taken on the day. Unfortunately, it's a little bit jittery and it kind of hurts my eyes a bit when I watch it. Like I say, I had an amazing time. I went up with Seymour and we stayed in a hotel, all kind of paid for. The paint was all paid for. I kind of wanted for nothing the sort of 2 days that I was there. We were really lucky because the week before, when Snub painted, it was a massive snowstorm. Although it was a little bit cold, we had beautiful sunshine for the entire time that we were there. It was amazing. Poor Seymour, unfortunately he didn't get to paint, but he stuck with me through the entire time. And yeah, like I keep saying, it was a phenomenal experience. The first time in my life that I'd ever been on a cherry picker, and if you've never been on a cherry picker, it's amazing. I loved it. I now want a cherry picker just for sort of, you know, daily use. And yeah, thank you to Paul Williams and to Doodug, because yeah, you just made me the happiest man in the world. Thank you so much. So then I came back to Exeter and I kind of carried on just with the portrait painting. But then somebody asked me, had I ever painted a portrait of a dog? And I said, no, but I'm willing to give it a go. So that's what I did. This guy had 2 Rottweilers, Harley and Roscoe, and I painted 2 black and white portraits for him, and he absolutely loved them. As soon as he got them, he commissioned me to do another painting for his neighbour who had 2 King Charles Spaniels, and then I painted a portrait of my sister's dog, and then people started asking me slowly but surely for kind of for paintings of their pets. My dog portraits were all black and white to begin with, but again, it was thanks to Seymour and him telling me when we did this wall that I had to do it in colour, that I started painting dogs with colour. And I haven't looked back since. I don't think I've painted a black and white dog for the last 6 or 7 years. Until we get to where we are today, which is in my shed, painting pictures of dogs, not quite for a living, but we're getting there. We're getting there. And yeah, that basically sums up the history of Jeff Paints. I've done a fair few things, haven't I? I think you'll agree. Yeah. I really hope that you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, I would really appreciate a like, and if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. There's plenty of other videos coming on their way, and I've got quite a few that I've done already. So yeah, if you're bored one day, just sort of flick through my back catalogue, as it were. Anyway, I'm off because I've got to paint a psychedelic dog on canvas now. It's the first time I think I'm painting a psychedelic dog. We've done a psychedelic cat. The video for that should be below as well. So yeah, I think that's it. Until the next time, yeah, what does Jerry say? Be nice and take care of each other, or something like that. But yeah, you know, boom, 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 one love. Stay sharp. Bye.